everybody doing? I'm Scott, that's JT, and that's Brandon down below. And this is going to be welcome to What Grinds My Gears. We're going to get started probably in a couple of minutes. We're working out a couple of things here on this side, namely Brandon's desire to, unsurprisingly, wear a Mets jersey right now, even though we are not going to be talking any kind of sports. But he's happy because he can finally see Max Scherzer pitch for his new team. So,
I know
congratulations.
it's just an overall just happiness.
Yeah, you
The
know.
but yet the only thing we've had is just Kershaw coming back to the Dodgers for a year. Other than that, zip, nothing.
But
But
yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's weird in this case because it's just with baseball being back, it seems surreal in some ways too. But I don't know. We'll talk about that probably more on like Monday and Tuesday, I think. So, but tonight, yeah, we're talking a little bit more and basically focusing more on the film side of things. Monday we talk baseball. Tonight, sequels, remakes, reboots, and the endless supply that seems to never ever stop. And my ironic twist, I think we need them. Yeah, you see the look on JT's face over here. He's like, why? Yeah, I'm going to go into something on this right now. I will state straight up that I am not a reboot, reimagining or etc. apologist. A lot of the things that have come out, a lot of the movies, a lot of the TV shows, that have been redone are just trash. They really do suck. What they did to one of my favorite comedies of all time in Coming to America with Coming to America, was one of the most unnecessary, unneeded sequels or reboots or whatever remake, whatever the hell you want to call it of all time. But I don't think it's entirely a bad thing, and I don't think it's something that basically is as recent as people think it is. So anyway, before I get into my little rant on this, do you guys have anything to say?
I
Uh,
I was gonna
Brandon?
say I kind of know where the direction where some of the movies that we're gonna end up bringing up. I see where
Yeah.
this conversation is going, but overall I'd say they're maybe not necessary, but I would say appreciated. Maybe some cases necessary, but I think it just has to be done right.
Yeah.
If it's done right, then I don't think you can say bub kiss about it.
JT, you want to go first? You want to go next?
I kind of feel I know where direction you're going, but I'm kind of curious nonetheless.
All
Though
right.
I
So
will
you're
say
back.
this: I haven't seen Coming to America, the sequel. Well, I actually know a person or two who actually did enjoy it, thinking it was near as good as the original. Again, I didn't see it; I can't make that judgment. But
Here's my.
let's
Go
go.
ahead. Go ahead. No, no,
I
please, please.
haven't seen it either
Mm.
yet for disclosure.
Let me back this up. As a 12-year-old kid in the 80s, Coming to America was one of my favorite comedies of all time and still is. That is a movie to me that I can sit there and if it's on in the background, it stays on in the background. Everybody has like that movie or that show where that's just like it's background. For me, I mean, it's feel good, it's got comedy, it's got heart, it's got so many really just memorable things about it that were clever and unique for its time. For me, I mean, having, Eddie Murphy and also Arsenio Hall do as many characters as they did and interact the way they did was clever for a movie. Nowadays it's not as uncommon, but at the time it was something that people were like, okay, this is kind of fun. Harry, Saul, Eddie Murphy playing, the Jewish guy in the barbershop. Nobody realized that that was him, but it was that freaking good, and that's what made that whole movie unique. And also, I'm a sucker for feel good movies. It has a happy ending. I'm happy. It makes me happy. It makes me feel good. What we're doing on the watch party upcoming, you guys don't know this, but that is not going to make me happy. I'll talk about that one a little bit later, but I'm going through unbridled, unmitigated hell in the near future. But as far as this movie goes, I mean, like I said, it ended the way that you wanted to. They kind of just ride off. They're married. It feels freaking good. So when they decided to come out with a sequel, Coming to America, I was intrigued because I'm always somewhat intrigued to a degree with the where are they now sort of scenario. And to me, it paled by comparison. And this is where a lot of movies have a problem right now where they come back. The Matrix movie, Coming to America, even Ghostbusters 2016, Ghostbusters Afterlife, they have an affliction with member berries. The fact, South Park, if you remember that whole thing, People start eating member berries because it makes them feel good and remind them about what the past was like. Um, for me, I think it's not a terrible thing, though. You know, when you look at a lot of these movies being churned out, a lot of these movies coming out faster and faster, there is a decrease of quality that has happened in the film industry. I'm not arguing that point. But I think as we've moved more into a faster paced world and actually also at the same time into a more fast food style of movie and TV shows, there's more opportunity there. Yeah, you guys are a little too young to remember this, but I came from an era where cable had 30 channels. You know, where if God help you, the president was on TV or a news broke, you had nothing to watch that night. There was no table, there's no cable, there's no TV, there's nothing. You know, it was just Ronald Reagan's going to be on TV, and your night was fucked. Now there's so many different options. Okay, maybe the quality and level isn't right there, but the diversity of choice, I think, adds so much to what TV has now that even the remakes and the reboots and all this kind of stuff is a part of that and gives people the opportunity to explore things that maybe they would not actually have seen otherwise because they never saw the original.
You threw out a lot there, and
Yeah, I went on a little longer than I planned to. I apologize. Go ahead, please.
so I don't even know where to start. I think I should have jumped in at some point here.
Yeah,
Uh,
next time throw something at me.
So the first thing I guess I had to talk about is films not being good as they were in the past. I think just like everything, there was a fluctuation. Sometimes films are good, sometimes they're bad, and remember with the business, the people who give out the money, they always kind of give it to most the thing they think is going to make the most money. So they've always kind of thrown it at kind of crap. But I think still there's little gems that always come out, even today. There's a few Disney films that have come out recently that I know a lot of people have loved and were really popular. I trying to think off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there's even new movies coming out that will probably be a franchise in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just really say that films are just kind of garbage these days. I will say, I think maybe films are now the theaters are more reserved for the big budget films, whereas maybe the lower budget ones don't really get the space that they deserve.
And yet you have The Irishman, which was $150 million officially plus a $100 million posting fee. And that went right to Netflix only.
Well, Netflix paid a
Right.
lot for it too.
Oh boy, did they.
I honest being that we bring up Netflix, especially with the movie, even the movie going situation. I had this thought. Honestly, I thought about this right as the quarantine and pandemic started. I thought coming out of this, Netflix would honestly maybe open up their own theaters
Mm-hmm.
and have a Netflix chain of theaters show all the Netflix stuff. So I think even with the Irishman, between any of these streaming networks or straight up cinema, I think you're going to have duds and great movies, come out all the time. I think it's just we have so many options that we physically and mentally can't keep up with it all.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah.
I'm personally so far behind. I have just this whole backlog of movies that I've been planning to watch for years, and it just keeps snowballing and snowballing just because other things are coming out. Not even just movies, TVs. Obviously sports is stuff going on. Life. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I think part of it too is maybe everybody is just there's so many things to be distracted by that they can't. You had writers 30, 40 years ago sit down in a room and write about one without having to be distracted by any other project. Now is everyone on these different calls and doing 18 projects at once to try and take advantage of how many streaming options out there. I think the quality ends up taking a little bit of a hit overall, but there's still great films all over that are being put out there.
Go ahead, Jay.
To get it kind of into I guess all the different options. You were saying like you were talking about how many different options are out there, correct?
Yeah.
So as Scott was kind of saying back in the day, uh, like I remember when I was a kid, cable only went up to channel 36.
Yep.
And I was a kid, I got Nickelodeon, and if you had one of those 13 channel things, you might be able to get to another one. So I remember when I was a kid, Cablevision came into my area, and suddenly the 36 went to 120 channels, and it was like the greatest day of my life. All those options out there, and
I
very
was very
quickly.
young, but I do remember those days. Very, very young, but I do remember.
Now, were you excited when that happened, or were you like such a young kid?
On
It was kind of a
yeah,
memory.
it was probably I was very young where it was just business as usual in terms of what's going on in the house and stuff like that. But as going getting older and just realizing how much and just thinking about I've
Oh,
had old TVs and old tube TVs with dials and stuff like that, and just thinking about the jump, it's insane.
but I think when you had fewer channels, you kind of appreciated what you could watch. You would watch like the worst thing in the world because it was really the only thing on. And I could even imagine the people from the '60s who only had 3 to 4 channels to watch anything. But as you were kind of saying, nowadays, let's even take Netflix out of the equation or Amazon out of the equation. You have YouTube. You have
Hmm.
us who like how many different people are making content and the attention spans of people because they have so many options is 2 to 3 minutes before
Hmm.
you lose them.
If that much.
Uh, and so yeah, it's a lot harder to get someone to a movie theater to see a film unless it's an event.
Hmm.
You're not going to get them to go see some drama for 2 hours, but you will get them to go see a Marvel film where explosions, explosions, blah blah blah. Or I think I don't want to dive into this because I think this is what Scott's going to bring up. Pretty much name value, and a lot of people. I think the reason there's so many different reboots and remakes and sequels
Hmm.
is not because people are so much clamoring for it, but they recognize the name, they recognize the brand, and the people who are looking to make money and own those brand names are going to just try to get them out there because they know someone's going to go buy it.
You know, yeah, to a degree. I mean, for example, on the watch party last night, we did West Side Story,
I'm
the
sorry,
the Steven Spielberg one. No, listen, I got to be honest with you. Not gonna lie, that blew me away.
really.
That was so much better than I. Hear me out on this one. From a uh, set dressing and period setup, it was fantastic. I saw how this whole thing broke down. I saw the work that went into it, the intricacy that, fortunately, in my case, because I spent 12 years in the film industry, and did enough period things, there's so many little nuances that were done in that West Side Story that the first one, obviously, the first one was more or less present day. But what Steven Spielberg did with that reboot, did we need a West Side Story reboot? No, we did not. Did
Was
he
it
do
better
it?
than the original?
Yes,
It was.
yes. And I'm going to say this. Here's the thing. I put the way I put this is I put it in the same category as I do the 2010 Karate Kid. I know it was kung fu. Let's forget that for a sec. Where you have at the end, you have a movie that is a good film, but will be largely forgotten and overshadowed by the original. Uh, West Side Story, Karate Kid, Kung Fu Kid, were good films and they had good points to them, but they are more or less a bullet point or will become a bullet point in time. The remake of West Side Story, since we're specifically talking about that, the intricacy of detail and what they were able to do with the dance numbers and everything that was involved was honestly extraordinary. Because again, the big difference, the original one was borderline present day. This one had to be recreated in sound stages in Patterson and Steiner Studios to look like 1957 in New York City, in Manhattan. And the effort that went into it and the gritty feel that it had, I was just mesmerized by the amount of detail that goes into something like that. Right now, I have the fortune of being stand-in and core background on an Apple TV series called Hello Tomorrow. and I can't go into too much on specifics on it, but it has the same sort of feel to it, where it has this magic that you go into it and you step into a different timeline, or a different time zone, or that time period. There we go. I'll get the words eventually. Um, and there's a certain magic to it. And what I saw last night with West Side Story, it had that magic. It had that impressive feel where you can sit there and you can look in at like a corner shop. You have all the action going on, all the dancing over here. But then in the corner, you see so many meticulous little things that were done that will probably never, ever be seen by most anybody unless you have an eye that basically is annoying like mine.
If it's so good, then why did no one want to go see it?
Well, we talked about that too. Yes, that was a movie that actually lost money at the box office. We have a theory for three reasons on this. One, because people were still edgy about the pandemic. Fair. Two, it released at Christmas time, give or take. Meh. And three, and the big one, it went head to head with Spider-Man last year. You have Spider-Man No Way Home. You've got all of that. You've got three Spider-Man spoilers, and then you have West Side Story. It didn't fly because it's going up against a movie that made $1 billion+ out of it.
But there's two such different films.
Yeah.
I would expect different audiences for them.
But I agree with that, and that's something that something like a movie like Greatest Showman, it did decent numbers at the box office, but it didn't even have any competition at Christmas time when that movie came out a few years ago. This one, straight up head to head, went against one of the best performing movies of all time.
Would you say that? So both of those are musicals. Actually, musicals I think haven't really done well in the last few years. So do you think part of the problem might be it's a musical? No one want to go see it?
I think personally, my guess only is that I think it's not the right kind of musical for today's audience. Where you have like a Glee or God, I'm losing the one Zac Efron. What was it? High School Musical?
High School Musical.
High School Musical. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Now on Disney Plus, we got High School Musical, the series, the musical, the sequel, the reboot, or whatever, the vacation, or whatever, however many parts of the title they called. Yeah. It's.
But yeah, the musical again, High School Musical. The quickening. So in this case here, I think West Side Story doesn't appeal to the 18 to 35 demographic. Greatest Showman kind of sort of did a little bit because it was Hugh Jackman and you had Zac Efron. And Zendaya, who was just starting to come into her credibility at that point. This one did not really have a lot of name recognition to it. It had Rachel Ziegler, who nobody knew who that was at that point. This was literally her first movie. And the guy that she went up against, that she was opposite, the guy that played Tony, it came out before the movie, after they finished post-production, that he was sending dick pics to underage girls. So things like that kind of hurt the PR of the movie a little bit, So
isn't that what Armie Hammer was caught doing a couple of years ago?
But yeah, this guy was doing some stuff. Apparently, he had, like underage relations or relations that basically said were consensual, but she was like 17 and he was 20. Which is funny because this dude was so innocent and wholesome, the guy that played Tony in the movie. And it's like, oh, he has this boyish face. And meanwhile, he's sending dick pics like 14-year-olds. So there's my reasons why I think it didn't do well in the box office.
I think musicals have a chance of, honestly, I think social media is helping it because these songs, especially these hit songs, especially on like a TikTok or something like that, the amount of content that's being branched off using the music of it.
Oh yeah, hardcore.
I think helps it. And it's still part of the pandemic. Like we're going to the movies tomorrow to finally see the Batman. The last movie we saw in theaters was Joker.
Okay.
It has been, and so I think movies for a lot of people are still a little bit of a hesitant thing that they're not really wanting to kind of go through yet. But I'd say, yeah, that and going up against Spider-Man, like not a chance. It doesn't matter the genre of movie; it's just a timing thing.
Oh yeah, and now that was something I don't know why they decided to do it. That's on them. I'm not going to disagree.
No, 100%. 100%.
It was their decision to basically say, okay, West Side Story, you're going up against Spider-Man No Way Home. Go for it. Yeah, when that was Somebody made that decision to release it at that point. Maybe it was Spielberg, maybe it wasn't. But the bottom line is that was a dumb freaking move to make. You know,
What company was it?
actually, I don't remember. The 20th Century Fox, with a tie-in to Disney. Or
So
20th
the
Century,
person who
yeah.
made this
So
decision worked at
so
the
Dis
company that released Spider-Man.
yeah, I was
Basically,
gonna
yeah.
say Disney was okay
Alright.
with that.
Disney had a
Yeah.
hand in both of them.
Apparently so.
Yeah, yeah, because it's on
Okay.
HBO Max and Disney Plus. So, now looking at this real quick, just to get it, I'm looking up YouTube right now. This Is Me, which is probably the most famous song from Greatest Showman. One video,
The
71 million
from now
views.
on thing.
No,
Is it
This Is
from
Me.
now on?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay,
Wait,
okay,
wait,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
here I
Yeah,
come.
yeah.
Yeah. 71 million views on one, 79 million views on another, and 158 on the official lyric video from Atlantic Records. You know, that's power because in this case here, you had a younger audience. West Side Story didn't have that because it didn't have the, I don't know what the current version of Zac Efron and Zendaya and Hugh Jackman would be for this. It had a bunch of unknowns at the end of the day. The only person I think people recognized was Rena Moreno, and she was the oldest one in the movie.
Okay.
You know,
I mean,
but yeah.
Yeah, I don't
But
have anything to add to this.
Yeah, but I mean, in this case, though, yeah, it was to me a very, very good film. I mean, here's the thing: every time we do one of these watch parties, I'm kind of like, oh my god, how this movie's 2.5 fucking hours long. Oh my god, and I want to kill Ryan because he keeps coming up with these movies. And then I get into it. I'm like, I'm really happy he decided on this one. And you stop feeling it because you kind of get engrossed in it. So credit to Ryan in this case. I want to strangle him for basically making long ass videos and making me sit on my ass for 3 hours. But they're good films that are coming out here. And do I think the Academy is pompous? Oh yeah. Do I think they're handling the Academy Awards incorrectly? Oh yeah. The way that they're handling a lot of the stuff with, the best sound design, set dressing, and all these massive, massive, massive parts of the film industry by pre-recording that part of it so it can be put in later and not actually preempt or basically extend the runtime of the Academy Awards. That pisses me off. It does. Because so much of that goes down to set dressing, sound design, and the camera guys.
You remember how Simpsons back in the day used to make jokes about how winning a Grammy was worthless?
Yes.
I feel like that's the Oscars these days.
There's so much, and JT, you know this. There is so much
God.
behind the scenes when it comes to what movies win awards at film festivals of any sort. There's a lot of, shall we say, politics behind it.
When it's not to insult anyone, but yeah, most of the people when they like, I won this award from the blah blah blah. I'd never heard of it before film festival. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Dude, it's
Right,
really
yeah.
well known in Sheboygan. It's held at the public library.
I won a award from Brazil. That's not even a joke. I won a film award from Brazil, and I'm just like, they liked my film in Brazil. It wasn't even dubbed, and it was only English.
Well, you and I have won. You and I have won.
Chile.
What's that?
It was Chile, not Brazil.
Okay.
Chile.
Yeah, get your South American countries right. But yeah, you and I have won for the same film from like weird ass film festivals that we didn't even know it was in. We never even heard of some of these film festivals. Like, oh, we just get an email. It's like, we won here. It's like, yay? Where is this place? I never even heard of this town. But that's.
We knew a film festival where the people won the award because they were the ones who showed up for the award ceremony.
Oh yeah. You know what? Let's just fuck it. I don't know if basically, Brandon, I'm sorry for boring you on this. I'm going to say one more thing.
Oh, I'm so intrigued.
Here's the thing. Film festivals, yes. If you are guaranteed to show up, or you are guaranteed to bring people, aka spend money, people that buy tickets and spend money, you have a better shot typically of winning the award. Because it's because it looks a lot better. It looks a lot better if you actually have someone there to receive the award at the film festival you're running. And that does factor in a bit hardcore, especially on the indie side of things. I mean, the Oscars, those people are showing up for the most part, or someone massive is taking on their behalf. But when it comes to indie film festivals, oh yeah, dude,
Sounds
it's
a
like
lot of materialistic kiss.
It's all about the images.
Ass
man.
kissing is what I'm trying to say there.
It's all
Yeah.
about
I
the
never
images.
really fit in with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have done enough film festivals. You and I, have done enough and have dealt with the aggravation and the strife that usually comes with it.
I did a film festival where there was a lot of smoozing going on, and where I could have benefited from doing some of that smoozing, and decided instead I was going to sit at my tech table and be left alone. It's just I just yeah.
Kill the time till it's over.
I,
Yeah.
I love this business. I love this business for the art. I don't love it so much for the celebrity,
Yeah.
and too many other people like it for the celebrity.
Well, it is a show
Yeah.
business. It's not show art. That's the. I mean, on one hand, I will say that it's actually, if it wasn't for the expansion and a lot of the reboots and the unnecessary sequels that I've been talking about, I would probably have not done what I've been able to do up until this point. I think the fact that there's been so many more streaming services and so many more, devices and everything like that, more than there would have been 20 or 30 years ago, I would not be able to do what I've been able to do. So I have a certain attitude that basically like I can work part-time hours and get full-time health insurance, for Robin and myself. I can do a lot of that, and a lot of it comes from the fact that there is, granted, sometimes watered down product, but on Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, YouTube. You mentioned YouTube. They don't do original content anymore, but they did. And then not to say nothing about the cable channels as well. So personally, for me, yeah, do a lot of them suck? Yeah. Do they pay really well? Yeah. At the end of the day, it's what I care about.
Yeah. But I mean, when we talk about I guess films and such, I'm thinking about this in terms of basically like we're talking about if, reboots and sequels are all good and stuff. Have you ever noticed if a sequel comes out and it's so bad it ruins either the original or one of the prior films that you enjoyed?
Oh yeah.
Uh, well, I talk about Batman right now because the Batman just came out, and over at Channel Awesome, they're doing reviews of the 2005, the Nolan films.
Hmm.
I loved Batman Begins. I loved The Dark Knight. When The Dark Knight came out, I watched that over and over again. I saw that 3 times in the theaters.
Hmm.
I bootlegged it so I could watch it in between when the DVD came out. I bought the DVD when that came out. But when The Dark Knight Rises came out, I hated that film. I didn't hate it, but I did that film so much. It actually ruined Dark Knight for me.
Thanks a
Really?
lot,
Because
Scott. That's what he's trying to say. Is
Yeah, I
thanks a
know.
lot,
I'm
Scott.
super intrigued by this.
Oh, it's your fault.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was that
Let's not
one
forget it. My
extra
little
during
first
that
stunt role
fight
ever.
that ruined it for me.
Dude, I got stepped on in that friggin' movie, okay? To this day, I don't know who grabbed me and picked me up and they took off running. But,
I can name for that long Dark Knight, the Dark Knight from 2008. I can picture everything from the beginning to the end. I only remember bits and pieces of The Dark Knight Rises because I have not watched it since it came out.
really.
I've had no interest in ever seeing that film again.
All right, so basically, so you like Batman
I'm
Begins.
I'm going to say I'm in disagreement. Not even because you're in it, but just I'm biased. I'm not overall like I've said this before. I'm not a harsh movie critic. Like if I like it, I like it. Great. I mean, I might nitpick on certain things, but overall, like I think a lot of things are good. And I'll if something's bad, I'll say I'm objective like that. But no, I'm all for the whole Dark Knight trilogy.
Well, I mean, here's my thing. Okay, so JT, so you like the original, which honestly I was not that much of a fan of. I got to be honest. I wasn't. I mean, It was kind of meh to me personally. Yeah.
Well, you're wrong. Continue.
What's that? Yeah,
You're
Dark Knight
wrong.
was
but
great.
Continue.
I'll let you be wrong. I'm going to be nice about that. You're full of shit. But I'll let you get away with that if you want. Yeah, Dark Knight, was great. Obviously, not my favorite Joker of all time, but we'll skip that for another time. But Dark Knight Rises to me had a little bit of that feel good ending because when you saw, Michael Caine, you saw Alfred, just looking at, in the cafe, and you see him do the head nod. You're like, oh shit, is this really good? And you see what he had actually visioned for his, almost you want to call it foster child, that he finally got some degree of, his own personal life and happiness. I was like, okay, that kind of came full circle. Robin Blake, basically, Robin Blake, Okay, I can skip that one a little bit there too, unless he decides to become Azrael or Nightwing immediately. But to me, like I liked that ending, and I liked how that series went down. You know, and yeah, maybe there is a little bit of a rose-colored glasses because of what because what I saw, shit, 10.5 years ago. But yeah, to me, like I said, that ending felt like the feel-good ending I'd wanted.
Funny enough, at the ending is one of the things I hate about that film.
Really?
Um, so a few things. I'll start with the beginning. I hated the fact of the 8 year time jump, and the fact
Okay,
that
that was
Batman
an eight
hasn't
year,
been
yeah.
that the Batman hasn't been seen in 8 years.
Hmm.
I really wish they didn't do that. I didn't like that at all. And
Hmm.
one of the reasons I don't like it is the fact that you had an injured Batman who had to kind of get back into things, only to halfway through the film cripple him with a backbreaker.
Hmm.
It's like it takes away from it. Like, okay, he was crippled, and then he forces himself to work, and then he's crippled again, but then within a few weeks he's back to normal. It
That was
just
quick there, yeah.
it
Yeah,
But, it was,
see, like I can
but,
understand that.
but that
I
was a
think I
better
heard the
Bane.
story.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I also the whole and I like Bane. I didn't really hate too much with Bane, but then you find out, oh, like this very smart, strong leader. He's really giving it to the Batman. Oh wait, he's just a lackey for
Hmm.
so and so, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul from the first film. It's like they didn't need to do that callback. I really wish they didn't. And not to mention, it made Bane look stupid again. You were doing they were doing so great with Bane, and then he just became a lackey that Batman was able to beat up somehow by the end of the film without any type of improvement.
Where's the
And then,
trigger? Where is
and then,
it?
and then of course, you have like, hey, they were going to make a Superman film, and having the Christian Bale Batman with the Henry Cavill Superman would have been a
Mhm.
nice touch. But Nolan wanted to finish up this series, have a just a period right there.
Yeah,
Like, yep.
an actual conclusion.
So it's like, yep, the Batman is dead, and you'll never see him again. And it's like, why? Why did you didn't need to wrap up the story like that? You could have kept it open ended, especially knowing that DC was trying to expand that universe. So
But
I got
all right.
overall irritated with all that.
But Batman's not truly dead. The world just thinks he is. He got his own statue out of it too.
But it still takes away. He's leaving Gotham. He's not trying to protect it anymore. He's
Mhm.
moving on with his life. I When you do this to a character, and this happens a lot in a TV show, especially dramas, where a character starts off here and they move them here, but then they realize, oh, the character arc is done and now everyone's bored. So you have to reset that character and then move through that same character arc again. Put Grimes from The Walking Dead, for example.
Mhm.
Good guy. Uh, the United States of Rick. To I can be a peaceful man at my prison. To I'm on the run again and I'm going to bite people's throats out.
Mhm.
And he kept jumping back and forth in that whole entire thing.
Well, that could
I
be
feel
writers not trying to figure what to do. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so even with this Batman, injured and retired and won't do anything anymore, to coming out of retirement to stop Bane, to getting broken by Bane, so he has to recover again. So he faces Bane, and then he blows up, and now he's somewhere else. So if he came back again, he's already again completed a third story arc in that film, and he would have to come back to being Batman all over again. They shouldn't have done it. They put themselves in a situation they shouldn't have done.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I think, going back and thinking about it, I think Bane probably could have been presented as a more like alpha dog of his own villain
Mhm.
in his own right. Going back to what you said with that. So yeah, I can agree and understand your gripes with that, but I still think it's a tremendous trilogy.
Well, here's the funny thing. They never showed it in the finale, but Matthew Modine's character, I watched his death scene too. So if you remember, basically at the end when the camera's panning by, you just see his dead body. he died saving some little girl, and they cut that scene. And I think it would have been a really awesome heroic death for that character, but they decided to get rid of him for whatever reason because a lot of people were like, "Okay, how did he die?" And that was really cool because he actually gets hit and run over by a tumbler, saving a kid. They're like, that would have been freaking badass. Basically, that showed up in the final cut, but it didn't.
Was it added as a deleted scene?
It might be a deleted scene somewhere. I don't know. But I remember watching that from the distance, and I'm like, oh, so that's how it was going out. But I think that was the second day the last day overall for us. I think was the day that they killed him off.
I will say there was one little weakness with The Dark Knight too. You were building up throughout this entire film Two-Face, and you could have definitely saved him for a sequel. And there's so much you can dive into with Two-Face alone.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. They just decided to blow him off in like the last 10 minutes of an already very long film.
Well, here's the thing. They don't seem to make Two-Face a standalone anyway. I mean, the animated series is great with that. But even Batman Forever, they had him teamed up with the Riddler. And I would have loved to see Billy D. Williams and not Tommy Lee Jones in that one.
But again, yeah, he could be a standalone. I mean, the Long Halloween, which everyone kept comparing this one that just came out to the Long Halloween. Long Halloween was a Two-Face story. It was the story of how he became Two-Face. But
and then there was the Batman vs. Two-Face that came out a few years ago with they had Adam West and he reprised his role. So that was its standalone. But for the most part, I think he is presented kind of as a secondary, not so standalone villain. But he really could be.
What's that?
Though played by William Shatner.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, he was. Yep.
Yeah, I think that was the last time that Adam West did anything when it came to.
It was.
He did a couple.
He died like the next year.
Yeah, because he did a couple of them. He did another one that I can't remember what it was, but I think it was Lee Merriweather was Catwoman again. There was another animation that he did with Burt Ward prior.
I don't remember the one movie. He did multiple?
He did a few, yeah. Because there was one where Robin wanted to jaywalk, and he's like, nope. Robin, as deputized members of the city, we must actually obey all laws at the same time. Quickly, Robin, to the crosswalk. And then you see that it's basically looking both ways and just slowly crossing the street. It was just, that was the camp that they knew at this point that this is not going to be taken seriously, and they're just like, all right, let's just ramp this up and just not give a shit anymore.
So, in terms of sequels, any other sequels where you think, like, they just hurt a franchise?
Space Jam 2.
See, I knew we were going there.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen, here's the thing. I mean, listen, the easiest way to tell what generation a person is which Space Jam they prefer. And that's understandable. The kids will prefer the modern day person.
See, but like, I'm weird. I prefer the first one, but I think LeBron is the GOAT. So I'm in that weird kind of no man's land of opinions on that.
And you've had this argument before.
We did. We talked about this
just like the other day too.
Yeah, it's very recent.
Good.
You're around like 28, 27 years old, right?
I'm going to be 27 in May. Yeah.
Okay.
So you were pretty young when Michael Jordan like officially retired, right? Yeah.
I mean, if you're not counting Wizards years, yeah,
not counting
I was.
Wizards. No one counts Wizards years.
I was on planet Earth in that, and for the last three-peat.
In the 90s, he was Babe Ruth. Like literally, that was the biggest sports star in the world was Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I know these days everyone talks about how good, and I'm not a big basketball fan, so I really can't judge too much. But I keep hearing about how great LeBron James is, and I'm like, you're not Michael Jordan. I'm sorry.
No, I get a lot of that argument. We're not going to just direct to a sports thing, but I do, the time kind of like, oh, you had to have been there seeing it live. I understand that argument, but I'm still more of an actual like context, what happened, like, on the court in this case. But I'm still, if I had to put one of them, I'm watching the first one.
I think for me, the reason that I prefer the first one is twofold. One, because of the fact that it had never been really done before. A few years prior, you had Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and that was phenomenal in its own right. And you should catch Devani's reaction actually when it goes up on YouTube in a few days, when he found out that there's supposedly a Roger Rabbit too. So check that out on YouTube. But that one was unique because it was him, it was Bill Murray, it was a lot of other players lampooning themselves. So when you see people like Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing at the time, I think Sean Bradley, I'm
Sean Bradley and
yeah,
Muggsy Bogues.
and you're seeing them just lampoon their own abilities, where they just can't shoot, they can't dribble, and they just look. I mean, to shoot that stuff and to see some of your favorite stars, not just LeBron, but or not LeBron, but not just see Michael Jordan's movie, but see all your favorite stars making fun of themselves. It added this level of endearment to the movie, to me.
Yeah, because the scenes when they're in the gym, and they're realizing like they don't have their talents anymore. That's a classic scene. And then the scene where they're in the game and they're having their talent being ripped from their bodies. You see all the souls and stuff on the floor, and it gets sucked into the basketball. Like I did think the second one kind of missed that spark. I think they kind of, I don't want to say they forced the whole introduction of the Looney Tunes world, but it didn't feel as kind of charming as the way the original one did.
The original one definitely, it's weird to say, I think had a better plot to it. It was simpler, but it made more sense. This one was Warner
it was
Brothers
a little muddied with that.
The digital world, and now we're going to stick LeBron in there with his son.
Well, see, that's the other side of it too. I mean, it's dealing with that, the trope of my dad doesn't get me, my son needs to be this, and then of course they're going to see eye to eye later. But it centered around a kidnapped kid. I mean, it turned basically into Hook. The 19 it literally turned into Hook. Kid gets kidnapped, forms a weird relationship with his kidnapper, as a sort of father figure. Doesn't get along with his real father. Real father goes into a different plane of dimension, whatever you want to call it, to rescue the kid. Space Jam 2 is literally Hook with basketball
and technology
and tech. Yeah.
I didn't put the two together until you said it, but
can't argue that. I mean, yeah, you lay it out there. I mean, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, I mean, but yeah, no, I think I don't want to say tried to be very plot heavy, very story driven, rather than just having kind of the fun of a crazy, Looney Tunes versus human basketball game going on. So I think they tried to get very Hollywood with that. But yeah, no, it's definitely putting it that way. Yeah, the kid definitely was kidnapped. No argument. Yeah. He was kidnapped. So yeah, playing it out like that, you can definitely compare it to Hook. And it's Hook with basketball and technology.
And if you look at it also,
I can't unsee it now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just ruined Space Jam 2. Actually, if you didn't feel it that way already. But one of the things about it though is also Space Jam 2 relied so much on pop culture. It's like, let's pluck all of these various characters and just drop them in as cameos and do this sensory overload setup as your humor. I mean, and that is the way humor is right now. Humor is constantly evolving, throughout time, where the era of slipping on a banana peel and squirting water, used to drive audiences crazy back in the early 20th century. And now you look at it like it's stupid. Our humor as my generational old fart does not make people laugh like now, like basically that kind of stuff would now.
To that point, I would say I agree. And when you said that, one thing that came to mind was Peacemaker and how mature content of a show it was, but really how immature it was in terms of a lot of things they were talking about and things that they were doing. So I think humor, I don't want to say it's advanced because it's not, I think it's just this, it's the same. I think it's just, have different people, different tastes in humor and stuff like that. And it's not advanced. It's just different. And I mean, obviously repeating the same thing, like the whole slipping on a banana peel. Like you can't do that today and expect a laugh.
No.
So like there has to be some advancements in the kind of the, I don't know, creativity of humor, if that makes sense. But I still think it's just different.
Yeah, I think it's more on what's the most popular. So,
Mhm.
yeah, to someone slipping a banana peel is probably still funny, but to the overall people of the world, and like you said, the advancement is probably like these people probably grew up with those jokes. So by the time
Mhm.
they're old enough that they want to hear something new, like, yeah, we're done with that. No more banana peels.
Yeah, and this, I think Nostalgia Critic did put it best when he talked about the fact that both Space Jams were a product of their time, and they appealed to the kids of that generation. I mean, JT, you put it best. You know, Michael Jordan, even when he was with the Wizards, and yes, I will still count that because he was still averaging 20 points a game, even with the Wizards. He was such a draw, and such beyond any athlete I think people have seen probably in 40, 50, 60 years. Not since, I mean, hell, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle might not even have the cred then that Michael Jordan did in the 90s.
He was Michael Jackson, but an athlete.
Yeah, beyond
That's
Tiger Woods,
exactly what he
beyond,
was.
I mean, LeBron, I could make the argument maybe is a better player, maybe, but not as influential. That I can, there's no way you can say that. You know, I mean, if he ends up getting 40,000 points, I can make the argument that LeBron is the goat, but I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, no, especially when you throw the whole shoe game aspect of it. I
Mhm.
would say, yeah, no, it's still in Jordan in that sense, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, to take it a step further, we had a kid. By the way, let me know what nationality you think Seamus O'Halloran was when I was in high school.
Yeah, this is
Maybe
a dangerous thing to
Western
ask.
Yeah,
European, maybe
yeah, Japanese. But
South Indies.
he was the first kid in our school in the early 90s to actually get the Michael Jordan, Nike, if you remember basically, the slam dunk, the Nike, he actually was the first kid and set the trend where all these kids started getting it shaved into their head because you actually got the Nike logo and MJ shaved into your head. And that is basically how influential Michael Jordan was, that he could actually affect your hairstyle by actually putting a product placement logo into your dome.
No, and again, like I wasn't old enough to be in the height of his heyday, but just going back to the Last Dance documentary, and just going, you would see thousands and thousands of clips and stuff like when the Bulls went on the road, it was a tour.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just they went on the road. It was like a band going on a world tour between the cameras following them, news crews, fans at the hotels, restaurants, the stadiums. It was they were literally the Beatles on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And they were you couldn't, hey, Michael Jordan was in town. Oh, we can't do this because the Bulls are on tonight. Michael Jordan's in town. Like the towns and the cities like revolved around Michael and the Bulls when they came to town to play.
And even Michael with the Wizards. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm of everyone here, I'm probably the one who's not a sports fan. I don't remember the last basketball game I've watched, but as a kid, not having watched basketball, baseball, football, like like you were kind of saying, like I still knew everything that Michael Jordan was doing
Right.
because he's still everywhere. You could
And
have
you
seen
no, and
him
that's
if
the
you were in
perfect
a favorite
example.
sport.
And that is, by the way, that's surreal to me. The fact that you're actually talking basketball. I have
Yeah,
known you for years. You have never really talked sports ever until tonight.
We just you see we're
you
just
are
mending worlds together now.
Really? No shit, man.
you are seeing the extent of my knowledge.
That's where how many innings are in basketball, and where we know which guy had the power play, but yeah, no, it's all right. Yeah, like I said, Spider-Man, right, that one. Um, we talk about,
There's
like I said, good.
No, I was gonna say there's just out of I'm thinking about now a couple. I want to say there was a reboot and it had its own sequel, but Rob Zombie's Halloween films.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I love Rob Zombie and I like his films, but Halloween and Halloween 2, not it,
All right, here's
not it.
okay.
You want to hear
Maple,
some?
go ahead.
I want to get away from this, but you kind of said it there. Uh, he made his own films and they were great, and then he made the Halloween franchise and meh. I always thought that way with Zack Snyder as well,
Hmm.
until he got to the DC universe. It's like, oh, if he doesn't make his own film, they're great. Oh, Superman and Batman,
Hmm.
Justice League. Oh god.
Or
Anyway,
it's almost like Star Wars prequels. They're terrible. Star Wars sequels. Yeah, prequels weren't bad. You know. By the way, can I just point out real quick? I think I am so happy for Hayden Christensen
Me
because
too.
he got shit on so much for the prequels because of the direction as an actor he was told to go. That is not something on him. That is on the director. That is on the editors. That's how they made him look. And he has gotten so much crap over the last 20 years because of that. And now he has a chance to pretty much redeem himself. And I am so happy for him in this case because he got a lot of hate that he didn't deserve.
you know it's terrible to say, but I hope he's wooden as hell.
Please no. Let's redeem the guy for God's sake.
No,
You know.
and just no for the sake of what Star Wars is doing now, you want him to do like
Yeah.
I especially you bring both of them back. I think having that kind of I don't want to say taking it under Ewan McGregor's wing, so to speak, but just having the two of them together, I think they're gonna let kind of him loosen the reins a little bit on his present, his delivery of the character. So I think, and I think I read today that he promises like the most powerful and just like best Vader we've seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
I could have read that out of context, but I think especially the way these Star Wars shows have been going on Disney Plus, I expect his character and the whole show to be quite good.
How is he going to play this character? Because as a stand-in as Darth Vader, he's not tall enough, and as a voice, he's not the voice James Earl Jones is.
They're doing flashback stuff to the Clone Wars.
Oh, so he's just going to be a flashback.
Well, apparently he's wearing the Vader suit again. James Earl Jones will probably dub over him at that point. But yes, it has been confirmed that they are doing Clone Wars battles and things like that. So he is involved with stuff there too. Because Ewan McGregor had said that the best part of the entire experience was working with Hayden Christensen again. And it's basically probably the only way I could think of that they would be able to work. But no, there is heavy rumors that they're doing flashback stuff, and they're going to probably de-age them somehow or something like that. But
Not that they really need to do much with McGregor. He didn't look like he aged that much.
dude,
No.
I think they made him look older. I think for this.
No, he definitely had a little bit more age, but I think especially for the time period in which they're showing, I do think it is a nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice look he has.
The fact that they got Uncle Owen and Baru back.
Yep.
The actor and actress from I guess technically both movies.
Yeah.
The fact that they got the two of them back as well, I think was nice. They're aged appropriate, and you saw a small little Luke there too, which was nice. There's a lot in this that I have mostly excitement, but a little anxiety over. And a little
Why
anxiety.
would you have any reservations over?
Yes.
It's
What
not like
yeah.
they
What are
screwed
you
up
What are you
any
hesitant
Star-
about?
It's not like they screwed up
tell.
any
Go,
Star
go,
Trek.
Boba Fett. There were Power Rangers. The phrase that I had used that apparently has been stolen from me and is now being occasionally used on the internet is the Book of Bovalorian is the phrase that I use, and somebody actually swiped it. It's making some headway.
I love it.
The Book of Bovalorian is the way I worded that, and it's pretty much accurate because like episode 5, it's like, let's go over to Mandalorian and then let's take the Mandalorian out and take this other thing that just went in a freedom further out.
Yeah, we're gonna take this wild detour and then slowly bring. Well, not so slowly, but we'll bring you back in real quick.
Yeah, but it's to me that made me a little bit nervous because there was so much going for what was happening with Disney Star Wars, and then that happened, and we had the weekly watch party. We stopped the watch party because it sucked so much, and then we came back and picked up the final episode and just ripped it apart. Even that last episode was terrible. But no, I like I said, mostly excited, a little nervous. We'll find out in 2.5 months. But I remember right before he shot all of that, Ewan McGregor, he did a Netflix series on the designer Halston, if you know who that is. And he was talking about the one day that I was there, he was talking about the fact that he was going to be flying up to Boston to start working on the Obi-Wan series, like right after Halston was done too. Like he wrapped heading right up, and the excitement that he had to be able to start to basically play Obi-Wan again. I honestly, I would have gladly been fired if I could have just had the opportunity to just tell him that day, hello there. I would have had no problem whatsoever being fired and not being paid for the day if I could just say that to his face
To
right
do
there.
it. To do it. You gotta do
It's
it.
a missed opportunity, man.
It's one of your regrets that you'll go to the grave. Man, I should have done it.
And it is.
I should have done it.
I would, and like I said, I don't care necessarily if, I got in trouble for it, and I probably would have. He probably would have been chill with it for the most part. He's probably like, oh god, another one. But at least for me, I would have had my nerdgasm moment. I would have loved it. But yeah, I think it should be okay, but we'll see. Go ahead.
I don't know what direction I was going to go. I'll go with this one. It's not as good, but
That's okay.
you're talking about how you would do something just to do it, even if you got fired. I used to work for a New Jersey-based news program, and weekly we would interview the mayor of Jersey City. And it's around this time I also became a giant comic book fan, and a new superhero came out called Miss Marvel, who was the superhero of Jersey City.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to find a Miss Marvel cosplayer and do a skit with our anchor, the mayor of Jersey City, and Miss Marvel. And I regret that I did not take that opportunity.
That would have been
If
great.
I could turn back time, if I could find a way, I'd find a cosplayer to show you, and you'd say, anyway.
Something.
Yeah, I could go on, but I basically would probably bore the snot out of the both of you. Sorry. But yeah, as far as, like I said, the sequels go, reboots, they're not all bad. Some of them actually are really kind of enjoyable. Some of them actually, actually end up being pretty damn good. Yeah.
I can't really read that.
Well, Dragon Ball Super to a degree, but my Eagle Fang karate shirt from Cobra Kai.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to add some.
See, another show that I have yet to start. My parents are all over it, which surprises me. No, straight up. And you've met them. You know. It's very surprising to me that they're on there. They're like, oh man, they're like, oh man, you want to go watch Cobra Kai? Let's go. Like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was Facebook friends with your mom before you, and I didn't meet your mom.
That sounds about right.
I knew you for 4 months before I met your mom, and she sent me a friend request before you and I became Facebook friends.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I've gotten some weird crap before, but
emotional, damn it.
Oh yeah, you got that. Yeah, by the way, he has a soundboard over there. I just want to point that out. He loads up shit, including whatever Masako Nozawa.
There isn't a day that goes by now where I don't instinctively just go emotional damage just to get it. Like it's an urge. I have to say it.
I watched that entire video. I bet that guy never thought that one line in the entire video was going to become the most popular thing he ever did.
Oh, it's blown up.
Well, it's like Michael Buffer. Who would have thought basically his, phrase, let's get ready to rumble, would be used as much as it is.
It's
in commercials. It's like, let's get ready for jalapeno poppers.
It was the name of a film.
Let's get ready. Yeah. But the Buffer brothers, Michael, I think you guys had an argument on that. Of you and Obi and somebody else, I think, too, about which Buffer was better.
No, I just think no. I just think yeah.
Emotional, damn it.
We're gonna have to load various things on that. By the way, may as well point this out. I've mentioned this to you. I mentioned, basically I was going to mention this at the top of the show. I don't know if you guys know this, but I am a complete and unbridled, unequivocal chicken shit when it comes to horror films. You had mentioned Rob Zombie's Halloween, and that triggered something I wanted to mention, that I shit myself on every horror film that's out there. I can't handle them. I don't do well with them. I will have nightmares immediately. And on last night's watch party, with Ryan and Devani listening, I agreed to start watching horror films on the live stream, starting with some of the worst ones by
Well,
their
now you've just done
recommendation.
it twice. Now you've just done it twice, and you have to do it now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
See, this is when Ryan says something, you don't say anything.
Stream Punk Entertainment is arguably my baby. Tales from the Film Set. I started these. I am doing this for the benefit of the show. Whatever heart attack that comes with it, whatever agita that comes with it. This originally started with the idea of doing a watch party on really, really shitty films. We temporarily covered it as basically called Bad Movie Beatdown. And who am I still do
I
that?
like that.
But then I kind of got to mention the fact I can't do horror. And both Ryan and Devani simultaneously had like that light bulb go off on the top of their head. And they're like, so, you don't like them? Huh, would you be willing to watch them? And I'm like, you mean basically just torture me for your own amusement? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And they just
100%.
started, the wheels started spinning in their head about what movies to basically put him through, what they're going to make him do. And if you want, yes, go ahead and tell him, send him a message, to you guys, tell him also, at some point, you're going to probably start putting me through watch parties of like the worst, most brutal horror films that I can't handle, just so you can watch your fearless leader shit himself stupid. Go ahead.
There's all different types of horror films, though. Which ones scare you?
Entrapment.
Oh, so like the Saw ones would probably freak you out.
Saw one's Final Destination was rough on me because
Really?
there's no way out because death will find you. It's a matter of how. The Ring.
Oh, so just the mental entrapment
Yes.
of
The
death
hopelessness feeling.
in that. I got you.
That's the kind of stuff, that I wouldn't be able to do. I haven't seen 128 days because I know, or 27 days because I know how that ends. And that sort of to some degree kind of falls into that same category. But movies like The Ring, I left my ass off of that. I saw The Ring, dude. I
gotta be
The Ring.
so. See, I was gonna go there. As a kid, the first time I watched The Ring, the very beginning, the scene where they open the closet door and the girl sitting in the corner of the closet, like curled up, and you see her face, and it's just that I could still see it in my head now every time I blink. But I can watch it now. Like I'm way better now than.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one I would say is the original. Well, it happened in the remake of it, but the original Omen,
Okay.
where in the very beginning, where the nanny during Damien's birthday party comes out onto the windowsill, and she jumps, and they actually fully show her jump and her neck. That, as a kid, I shit my pants.
This is for you, Damien.
Yep.
Let me say
and
this.
they jump right. They don't cut. They just show everything. She flails and the neck crack and yeah. As a kid, that got me.
I get made fun of for this one, but the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead,
Mm-hmm.
that for years used to give me nightmares.
Hmm.
Just because,
Just that
a
one.
little- yeah, the other ones they just seemed a little too cheesy for me. But
Mhm.
fast zombies, and you couldn't get away from them. And even the end of the film, when they finally escape, it's like they didn't really escape. The zombies are everywhere. You will eventually get bitten by one and become one. And
Was
it
that
just
the one? Good. Was that the one where they were running, where the zombies like ran at super speed?
yes.
Okay, yeah, because remember, because at the end of that, they get like across the island.
Isn't that when they get trapped in the mall, or that abandoned mall? Yeah.
So it's the one with the abandoned mall, and I'm going to spoil this film from 18 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't seen it, now, too late. We're gonna
Yeah.
spoil it now. Too late.
So it kind of ends with them escaping, and you could just say, hey, the film ends right there as the credits roll and go, like, everyone is safe, they're fine. But then they start showing clips of what happened to them after the credits, and it shows them on this boat, and the boat runs out of gas, and they just barely make it to an island. They make it on the island, and then they're finally chased down by what's left of the zombies, and then that's the end of the footage. I don't know, and it just used to freak me out as a kid. Not as a kid. I guess I was 19 at the time.
I would say a horror movie as I gotten older had jumped up to be one of my favorite genres of movies. So now that I know that you're not a horror movie guy, I'm jumping on that train. And
Like I said, you got listen.
yeah,
I'm willing to take the hit for this. So I'm willing to. Here's the thing. I'm willing to take the hit for this, and I'm willing to do it for certain criteria. So if we hit certain number thresholds, like on subscriber count, viewership, things like that, I'm willing to take that hit.
entice
And
the people.
maybe there's something to this, where if we start getting, right now we've had a good increase as far as the subscribers to the YouTube channel. I'm seeing what the numbers are right now too, and it's definitely growing. But if we can get it to, I don't know, we'll start to, like I say, 1,000 on YouTube. Then yes, you guys pick like the three. You guys made a communal decision on this. The three horror films that you think will basically make Scott, crush Scott's spirits the most, and say go.
I'm all for that. I'm all for it. I'm even going to come up with the 3 movies, even if we don't hit the 1,000. Just
no, listen. If I'm going to take this hit, we got to have some numbers behind it. Okay, we're not just going to do this willy nilly.
I'm going to be ready. I'm going to assume we are already going to hit that mark, and I'm just going to go full green light on that.
If you want a little motivation, try and sell out the YouTube channel. It's fine. We can talk to Marty Herstein. Maybe we can make something happen there too.
We have a Twitter. I say we, the team behind the scenes and in front of the camera, come up with the films we think will frighten Scott the most. We put together a poll, and we let the viewers decide from there.
Oh God, I think that's
Love
actually.
it.
Oh, what have I gotten
it.
myself into?
Love it.
Yeah, you know what?
You're welcome.
Sure. Listen, this is the kind of stuff that I'm willing to do for the benefits of this channel and the growth that comes with it. Yeah. I don't even really want to tell you what the first movie was that freaked me out as a kid, too. I'm kind of embarrassed by that one. But
Well, now that you said it,
you have to.
That's the rules.
Superman 2, I was 4.
Superman 2?
Because Superman, who, by the way, I had Superman bed sheets as like, a 4, 5, 6-year-old. We went to go see it in theaters, and I was maybe 5. And to see Superman, my, hero, Luke Skywalker and Superman right here, to see, Superman lose his powers and get the shit kicked out of him by Zod and also that guy in the diner, roughed me up as like a 5-year-old. Because it's Superman. He's not supposed to lose, ever.
Emotional damage.
Dude, no shit. There it is.
Wrong button.
But, yeah. So, I remember just burying my head in my father's armpit probably so hard it gave him, rib damage. Because, yeah, it was one of those things that Superman isn't supposed to lose. So I had a hard time with that one. But anyway, figure basically, JT, we maybe start wrapping this up a little bit. I know, Brandon, you got to skedaddle too. But yeah, we can wrap this up at any point. Any final thoughts from you guys? Anything you want to cover? Anything else you want to put me through?
Oh, well, we have our ways. We'll think.
Oh, yes, you do. So he's
we'll
like, I got to get this thing, this board to hit. All right. And yes, I am willing to take this hit, to basically make your fearless leader fearful. And yeah, fuck it. Why not? I don't care.
Alexa, name a scary movie that Scott should watch.
Getting scary movies from Fire TV. I had trouble communicating with Fire TV.
You failed.
Check your
me,
device's
Alexa.
network connection.
Thank you, Alexa, for protecting me tonight. I appreciate you. Thank you, Alexa. Yeah. She heard me before. Before we started, I was actually talking to your Alexa.
Say goodnight, Alexa.
Good night, Alexa. All right. Anyway, Brandon's just sitting there being like, yeah, this is fun.
I was waiting for her to respond.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. It might not surprise my mom. All over these Amazon
Eleanor Roosevelt
Echoes
said,
and Alexa.
"The purpose of life is to live."
All right, never mind. That failed. Sorry.
I do have to give a shout out to Brandon though. He is starting his new basketball show on Spanglish World Network Monday night at 6:30 to go to 7 o'clock. He's going to be breaking down March Madness and everything that's going on there. So Spanglish World Network, Spanglish Sports Den, Zingo TV channel 249 and 250. So kudos to you, good sir. Anything you want to cover specifically as I talked about?
Yeah, no. So Monday, it'll be a premiere episode. So we will be doing all March Madness preview. I'll go through the bracket and stuff like that. My thoughts on that. So I know JD is also a huge college basketball, so we'll try and get him on, and then we'll just from there on out cover March Madness as that goes, and then NBA playoffs as that come along. And the show's called Home Court Press.
Nice.
So very excited about that.
Good job, man. Congratulations to you. So
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, JT, any final thoughts?
No.
Okay, cool. Brandon, are you doing NBA this weekend too, or no?
Yes, so we are going to be doing Lakers and Suns Sunday night.
Okay, and that will be strictly on the Twitch page, by the way.
Yes.
Yep. That'll be actually twitch.tv / streampunk sports, by the way, just point that out.
Yes,
then
with our
Monday,
newest
your show.
member Ernesto,
Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
which we have to get him on the host. We have to get him on the host page. Now that I remember that.
Yeah, I'll talk to him directly, get him. I need his bio and a pic or two. But yeah, so that we got that. I was gonna say we have Monday night another grind my gears, and then Tuesday we also have Sports Den and Tales as well, and that'll be starting that as well. For a lot of the clips on this kind of stuff and a lot of the other stuff that we have, always definitely check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tales from the Film Set. So for me, I'm Scott. Thank you, Mr. JT McGuire. Thank you, Mr. Brandon K. Thanks to you guys too. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Take care.